right, we're on. Well, hey, good to see you, Tammy.
Hey, thank you. Good to see you.
Hey, everybody. So welcome to MyHR Live number, heck, what are we up to now? 28. Is it 28? Nearly 30. We've done quite a few of these now. I'm really excited about today's one. Obviously, we've got the new Zoom format. Apologies for the slight sort of slow start there. But the nice thing about this format is you can ask us questions as we go. And you can do that by raising your hand using the little icon down the bottom that allows you to raise your hand in Zoom and then post a question. I can see those questions and Tammy and I can read them and respond to you. So the same normal setup and format for this session. We are live. We are also recording it. So if you have to leave partway through, you can watch it back later. We will share it on all of our main platforms, our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Facebook, and on our own homepage or website. We are here today to cover safety, which I'm super excited about, really relevant topic, somewhat in the news at the moment as well, as I'm sure you're all aware, and also to announce our partnership with Tammy and her business. And we have a new offer at MyHR called Safety Plus. And essentially Safety Plus is a safety system customized to your business. So for those of you who are MyHR clients already, you'll be aware that we provide a very basic foundation level of safety support in terms of base policies, some guidance documents, forms, and those sorts of things. But now with Tammy on board, the Safety Plus service provides something quite a lot more detailed, and then Tammy's additional services over and above that give you something that's quite unique in market. Tammy's a pretty special person in my view. She's a registered health and safety professional and has some amazing experience. So Tammy, why don't you give us a bit of an intro on yourself, your background, your history, and your safety philosophy?
Sure thing. So I'm Tammy. I've been in health and safety for around 11, maybe 12 years now. Quite a few industries I've worked with in terms of health and safety, predominantly manufacturing, engineering, done some construction trade, retail trade, warehousing, transport, bit of agriculture, some automotive workshops, etc., etc. So the principle of health and safety is the same across the board. Obviously, the risks in each industry is different. I am a member of the New Zealand Institute of Safety Management. I'm also a certified and verified member of the Health and Safety Association of New Zealand. I'm also a certified track screener and many other things as well as part of my job. My philosophy, health and safety is, well, my stance is too many people get seriously hurt and die from work-related injuries and illnesses, and majority of these are preventable. So, you know, my view is nobody wants to go to work and have their lives or even their family's lives affected by a serious work-related injury, or even worse, not come home at all. From a business point of view, no business wants to have a work-related death or a serious life-altering injury on their hands. From a moral point of view, but also from a productive and financial point of view, which can actually be quite damaging to a business. So that's my philosophy. Health and safety is a must, but it doesn't need to be hard.
Awesome. That's great. I think that's really why we get on. Your philosophy and sort of safety aligns too to ours in around HR, and it's human and it's pragmatic. And I think fundamentally that piece around care is really important. You know, there is a compliance framework, but this is not about a tick box exercise. The compliance framework exists for real human reasons. And, you know, we cop it a bit in HR about being a bit too politically correct and too many rules, but it's not about burdening you with rules and things. It's about actually creating freedom. And this doesn't mean good safety systems don't mean you can't have fun, right? I mean, you know that I surf and mountain bike, and I believe you might enjoy rally driving, Tammy. So
exactly.
not particularly safe activities, but can be done safely and are a heck of a lot of fun. I think that's certainly why we get on with you, and we're really happy to be working with you. So I've got some questions. This is really unusual for me to be the guy asking the questions, not answering them. So I do my best to like play the role of interviewer and then shut up, because you're the expert here. I've got some views just as a small business owner and the things that I sort of filter in when we manage issues with our clients. So, you know, I'll ask some clarifying questions, may challenge you a bit from an audience point of view. If you've got anything to add, please feel free to chime in. But I've structured these questions around topics that I think will really help you and add value in terms of understanding how to do safety or health and safety better. So first one, Tammy, is what are your top 5 pieces of headline advice for New Zealand's small and medium businesses regarding effective health and safety management in their company?
Okay. Well, I could go on and give you quite a lot, but I'll give you these ones to start with. So first and foremost, have a documented system that is structured and designed to your business activities. A system lays a foundation or the framework for you managing your health and safety requirements, and understand that system and what it requires. Second one would be use that system. So maintain it, input your data into it, and integrate your system into everyday business. So your health and safety processes become embedded into your business as a business as usual culture. Know and understand the hazards and risks in your business activities. So complete your risk assessments, manage your risk appropriately, have safe systems of work, document all of this, review your risk management processes periodically, and keep up to date with any changes. Next one would be leadership. So drive your systems from the top down. So your top management down, right down to your workers, embed that culture, lead by example. Involve your workers. That is quite a massive one. Find ways to engage with them, give them opportunities to participate and contribute in how health and safety is shaped and managed in your workplace. Value their input as well. You're more likely to have an engaged workforce who will be more proactive and positive towards health and safety and managing risk and following procedures and policies when they feel valued and they feel that they've actually contributed to that system. And I'm going to give you one more.
Okay. Embed
that culture with your workers of it's not about blaming, it's not about reprimand or pointing fingers, it's about learning and improving. It's a very old school way of thinking, pointing fingers and blame, and it's a mindset that we need to change.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. I think what's really cool about that for me is these are actually just kind of fundamentals of good management and good engagement. You know, I think the things you've highlighted come up for us all the time across many areas. And I think if you run a good business, you have solid systems in place that you actually use and are integrated in your business.
Yes.
Know and understand the risks and that are in your business and in your potential sort of future. It's owned by the leadership on a top-down basis, but it involves the workers and it's embedded in the culture. That kind of pretty much describes good management, full stop. So, exactly. You know, I think that's really cool the way you've summarized that, because it's just a management. It's a good management framework.
Yeah.
You're running a good business. This stuff should be there. And then safety slots into its space, and good HR and employment law management slots into its space. Performance management does the same. But also, you know, business strategy, values, just daily ops, you know, in terms of running your operation, whether it's your flow of stock, whether it's your customer management, good systems that are used, that are known and understood, that are driven by the leadership, that are embedded in your culture and involve the workers. Imagine that as a customer experience statement. So
yes. Perfect world.
yeah, right. Totally. But I think the nice thing about it is it's kind of one set of key principles. And often what I find is people might understand those things intuitively, but then applying that to safety can be difficult. So it's this different thing. It's this complex or scary law. And I just kind of need to have a policy and it's on a shelf and I never touch it. But I think they're awesome. We'll publish these, I think, as part of this follow-up and share them with the audience, because they're really good tips. So tell me then, if I lead on to the second one, this really speaks to our audience of small and medium-sized businesses. So how do they cope with the legal requirements? They don't have big health and safety teams. They don't have dedicated people whose sole job for 40 hours a week is health and safety. What can they do to get this stuff right? And are there more relaxed laws that govern them? Is there a bit of a sort of a way that as a small business, you're off the hook on some of the more complex laws, or not?
Unfortunately, no, there's no relaxed laws for small or medium businesses. Legislation is legislation across the board. It really comes down to, as a business, knowing your compliance requirements and knowing your hazards and the risks in your business and your business activities. That's what it really comes down to. Depending on your industry and the risks in your business may have specific regulations or code practices that you have to comply with. So knowing what they are, there could be specific guidance published, so best practice guidelines or good practice guidelines, and knowing what those are as well. But, you know, in terms of legal requirements, you know, this is one rule across the board. And if you don't know what those legal requirements are in terms of managing your risk and your business, you know, use a qualified professional, health and safety professional, who can help you navigate managing your compliance with health and safety and managing your risk, and can help you put in that structured system to do that.
Cool, thank you. And I think that's important. And look, we get the question a lot too around employment law, around, well, is there a sort of small business version and a large business version? And there's not. Interestingly, in Australia, 15 or less employees, there are some more relaxed employment law around it. I don't know if that applies to safety there, but certainly from an employment law point of view, not the case in New Zealand. Whether you have one employee or 100,000 employees, you are governed by the same law, and that's the same for safety. So I think that's really important. I think you touched on a good point there, Tammy, around you know, just engaging some professional help. And we did talk about this a bit in these live sessions, and it's not some way of kind of just pitching supplementary services. There's just this acknowledgement that as a small business owner, you've already got everything on your plate, and there are certain areas of specialty where you just need external help, and it's just part of the cost of doing business, and it kind of needs to be factored in. And I don't think these things can be ignored anymore. Good safety systems are essential. And plenty of businesses get it. I mean, we deal with lots and lots of businesses around the country who totally get it, who come to us with already well-established safety processes and systems in place. But genuinely, there are others who are a bit behind. And I think if you don't know, the answer is to get some help. Because that's the best way to sort of cut through it. You know, I know enough to be dangerous, and some of the things I've said, Tammy, you can just see her cringing at, so I'll be very careful what I say today. And so the important thing is, when you need an expert, get an expert, I think.
That's right.
So how about then, what are the top 3 mistakes employers most commonly make in your experience? Okay,
so first and foremost would be employers fail to identify and manage their risks appropriately. So, you know, you've got a lot of things that happen, go wrong, and it all comes down to they just haven't managed their risk or failed to identify their risk appropriately. And it could just be that they don't know how to, or they don't know what they need to do, or they don't know how to document their system. But managing risk, identifying and managing risk is probably the most common mistake. And that also includes health risks, such as hazards that you can't see, so dusts and mists, behaviours, that sort of stuff that needs to be factored in as well.
Yeah.
The second one would be that employers sort of don't train or provide information or supervision appropriately. For example, inductions or refresher inductions, so people don't become complacent. They don't provide information or enough information on the hazards and the risks in your business and how they're managed. They don't actually provide their system and their policies and procedures with their workers, and they don't supervise inexperienced workers and then assess competency. So there's quite a bit going on there, but definitely a lot of employers don't sort of go into that level of detail. Sometimes, quite often, employers may have a system or procedures and policies in place, but they shelve it and they don't even follow their own policies and procedures. So that is quite a big one.
Yeah.
And then I got one extra one here, that productivity takes priority over health and safety. And that could be from, you know, pressure from bigger workloads requiring longer hours. It could be like pressure to meet targets. It could be, you know, not wanting or not have the capability or wanting to put the resources into managing health and safety. So that's quite a big one as well.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. And look, I think particularly that last one, for smaller businesses where you don't have a large team to draw on or shifts that you can swap out to pick up the workload, that sort of thing. And where you tend to just run a little closer to the line, you know, margins are a bit tighter, everything kind of is, it's all much more contained, you know, we're not turning over billions of dollars kind of every year. When it's on, it's that kind of adage of make hay while the sun shines. You want to get it done. You want to get the jobs out, the work done, because this is where you're making your money, you know? And so that pressure exists, and that pressure can sometimes, I totally understand, can put some of that safety stuff at risk. What do you recommend? You know, because for a business owner, it's like, but the alternative is I don't take the opportunity. I don't make all this money while we're flat out busy. I turn away work, which is just, you just don't say that to a business person. And as a result, potentially we don't make enough money and I have to let staff go at the end of the year, or I don't become as successful as I want to be. So how do you balance that kind of pressure point there?
Well, you need to talk to your workers. You know, if there's bigger workloads, if there's like pressure, just talk to them and engage them and involve them. And hey guys, what can we do to sort of, you know, make sure that we're still doing our job safely? That is quite a big thing, and a lot of companies don't even do that. So the workers at a work level do feel that pressure, and they do make mistakes. But if you're actually sort of talking with them, engaging with them, and getting their ideas, then it's a way to navigate around that kind of area. Cool.
There's two things I'll pick up on this, and then we've got some awesome questions in, so we'll go to those, and then I've got one more for you. The failure to identify risks, I think, is critical, and sometimes you just, you know, in a busy, growing, small company, you just don't even think to, you know what I mean? And it's I think forcing the time to do that is critical. We can't ignore this. You mentioned the visible and the invisible sort of hazards and risks, but also the behavioral stuff. And this is something we have, obviously, a lot of clients who have very obvious physical risks, working in construction, working in manufacturing, trades, etc. But we also have a lot of professional services. You know, everyone jokes about the paper cut or spilling the coffee on your computer or whatever, and then there's maybe a sort of a nod to RSI and backs and sitting. But this whole thing around behaviour and emotion is critical. And certainly at MyHR, we run an EAP program, and what I found is the key to EAP is not just having it, but actually reminding your people that you have it and encouraging them to use it. You know, and the percentage of take up when you actually look at EAP statistics is incredibly low. And I think partly because companies put them out there and don't really do it. What we talk about internally is the more use, the better. It's not kind of a marker of unhappiness. It's a marker of people who are prepared to reach out. I've had a really crappy week, actually, and I just kind of need to talk to someone who's not my partner and who's not one of my work colleagues, and it's just going to make me feel a bit better about my life. And it might be external, it might have nothing to do with work, but it will affect work. And those behavioral risks, emotional risks, the stress that comes within a professional services environment, you know, you can't ignore. And just one other as a quick plug, actually, you mentioned induction. So we've got this awesome new induction feature we're building into our software, and a training tracker that associates with that. And it's going to cover things like this, and it will allow health and safety inductions to be that much more powerful. So look out for that in the new year. We get through the Christmas rush, and that will be coming. It's pretty exciting. So thanks, Tammy. I've got a couple from the audience. So Nairi has asked, is there a ratio for health and safety reps per staff size? That's a pretty good one.
It certainly is. So you should have 1 rep per 19 workers. And that is per work group, and that could be your whole business. It could be, you know, you might have different businesses in different areas or different locations, or doing completely different things with completely different risks. So that's up to you to work that out, but it is 1 representative per 19 workers.
Cool. And so that, just for not very good maths people like me, that tips over at 19, right? So 1 to 19, and then as I'm hiring person number 20, 21, 23, I end up with 2 reps. 2,
that's right. Yep.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, cool. Thank you. Nairi, hope that answers your question. That's pretty clear. Lindsay asks us, would emotional well-being be considered a risk, and should it be included on your hazard register?
Emotional well-being. So this is a bit of a grey area, which all comes down to the well-being and the behaviour side of managing risk. Certainly, it should be factored into it. You know, it could be from obviously lots of different factors. It could be from stress, it could be from fatigue, and that could be work-related. But you know, which you can obviously manage and put things in place to manage the risk from that. But it could also be that, your worker could be experiencing something in their personal life that is affecting their sleep and their behaviour and what have you. And it's not up to you to manage their life or anything like that, but it's up to you to have an interest in their life and to sort of maybe perhaps have a conversation with them if you can, because when a person is fatigued or stressed, whether it's personal or work related, it still has an impact on safety at work. So right. You do have, you still have a responsibility to your workers, and having that conversation or having an interest in your workers' well-being, whether it's inside or outside work, is quite important as well.
So, and is it then fair to say, therefore, it's something that you need to be aware of as a potential risk and awareness of, but not necessarily something you'd list on a hazard register?
Well, you probably would. Like if it was, if you have a business that you have a lot of stress or fatigue is a huge one, you would definitely put that on your risk register. And you put, like, if you have your EAP program or ways to manage that, you put that on there as well. Emotional, obviously depending on what it is, but if it's work related, then yes, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. Okay, great. Oh, Lindsay, hopefully that answers your question. Another one's popped in from Aman. Mate, you've just opened yourself up to a bit of a sales pitch here, but I'm going to pass this to Tammy for a professional answer, because my answer to you is what you need to do is sign up for Safety Plus and then join us at MyHR. So Aman asks Tammy, what is the best way to start? We are a car sales business, used car yard. Where should we start?
Well, yeah, you should have a system in place, a health and safety management system. So health and safety management system encompasses, everything to do with the regulations, your Health and Safety at Work Act. You have an obligation to, for worker engagement and representation and participation. You obviously have a duty to manage your risks. And it all needs to be in a documented system. So you've got to have your risk register. You've got to have ways that, your workers can report hazards. You've got to have ways that your workers can, obviously report an incident, and then investigation and risk assessment procedures. So that all needs to be documented. So having that system, documented system is where you start. Obviously knowing the risks in your business as well is what's going to drive that, and what kind of level and detail you need to put into that.
There you go, mate. That's a solid answer, and certainly Tammy can help you with that. There you go. Okay, we're slightly over time. I do like to keep these to 20 minutes, but it's been it's a pretty engaged audience, and I think people are getting a lot out of this, Tammy. This is awesome. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we can let people get back to their days. Tell me, what's your response to the common sense argument? If he wasn't being an idiot, he wouldn't have got hurt. It's just bloody common sense. We get that a bit in what we do, and that we certainly hear that in relation to safety issues and injury.
Yeah, it's a very old school way of thinking, unfortunately, and it is a mindset that needs to change. Every individual has their own perspective of the world, and that includes common sense. So what common sense is to you might not be common sense to me. We're all humans, and as humans and with the right factors can make mistakes, and mistakes generally involve a lot of factors, and in this very modern day of age, some of those factors can include stress, distractions, fatigue, impairment issues, drugs and alcohol, etc., which can affect safety at work and cause someone to do something that is considered a lack of common sense, and it happens too often.
Yeah.
So the key message here is, if you foresee an event happening, you must factor that into ways that you manage your risk.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a solid answer. And look, I really appreciate it. That's great. And it aligns a lot to, the advice we like to give around employment relationships and things as well, and when relationships fall over. Rajan has snuck one last question in here. So I think we'll grab it, and then I'll do the farewells just quickly. Which relates to professional services in general, I think. What should a law firm document or practice with respect to health and safety? We just deal with paper. I don't think that's a good question. That would go beyond law firms. I imagine accountants, HR,
yeah,
like
that's fine. I mean, in terms of that, obviously your management system or how you manage your health and safety would not be as in depth as a manufacturing industry or company, for example. But, you know, in terms of an office-based business, you've still got hazards, you've still got risk. And your kind of business, it would probably be workload stress would probably be quite a huge one on your list. You know, whether any of your staff, you know, drive anywhere, driver safety, that kind of thing. You might have drugs and alcohol, for example. They're kind of pretty common standard hazards and risks across the board. But there's still risks and still ways that you need to consider managing them in terms of an office-based type business.
Yeah, awesome. And that, I think that goes to that chat we were having before around that kind of emotional stuff, Raj. And I imagine that, you know, there's always sort of tension in law firms, particularly if there's litigation, angry clients, or upset parties on the other side of the table. And, you know, you're often under pressure or under attack. Lawyers seem to like to have a crack at each other as just part of the professional go-to. Oh, my camera has just completely gone off here, Isaac. So can you hear me, Tammy?
You've gone. There you go. Yeah, you're back.
Disappeared. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Oh, hey, you disappeared.
Well, lucky that was like right at the end. Because I can wrap it up. But hey, look, Tammy, thank you so much, and thanks to the audience for joining in. And if you're watching after the fact at the recording, then please feel free to reach out to us and ask questions. Go to myhr.works to check out what we offer. We'd love to work with you on the safety front. Our new Safety Plus service is live, and Tammy is ready and available, and it's a really magic supplement to what MyHR already does. I imagine we'll do another one of these. It's proven to be quite popular. But we look forward to any questions after the fact. Tammy, I look forward to seeing you in person again soon. Thanks again for participating. And thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you.